Sterling's taken an absolute battering. If you think about it, that is the perfect liquid way of looking at how the markets view the risks that both sides in this equation faces. And they've decided that the British face a greater risk in this Brexit campaign than maybe the rest of the EU does. Are they wrong? Are they right?
Well, the number of times the financial markets get things wrong leave colossal opportunities for all.
So markets aren't always right.
The markets are very regularly wrong. But, you know, that's a subjective assessment. And I would actually like to talk about objective assessment. If we look at the first subjective assessment that people are regularly making, and George Osborne said that this could be a messy divorce. I'd much prefer a messy divorce than a disastrous marriage. That's a subjective assessment. But if we look at objectivity, what are the reasons to stay in Europe? Objective reasons. Ones that are provable and definite and guaranteed. I can't think of a single one. People can speculate on what it might mean coming out of Europe and what it might mean staying in Europe. But there are some very objective issues about staying in Europe. So one of those, for instance, is that we cost Britain a net of £10 billion to be in Europe. That is a big cost to the country. And it's fact. So we don't need to debate it, it's fact. We've got a deficit with Europe on our trading activities of £59 billion, another fact. So how important is the trading between Europe, and how might Europe look negatively at Britain?
I don't think anybody's disputing these facts. I think what they're trying to understand, though, is the nature of the relationship post a decision to leave. And that's the bit that becomes very hard to quantify, because all of those numbers, they're facts now, but they may change further down the road because of the nature of the changing relationship that we have with the rest of the EU.
We're into subjectivity, of course.
Well, we are, but
what might happen if we stay in? What might happen if we stay in? What we know is it'll cost us more money. What we know is we've currently got a £59 billion deficit.
Sorry, you say that it may cost us more money. We don't know that because we don't know what the counterfactual is.
Let me quantify that. More money than if we could go out.
Right. No,
the £10 billion cost. I mean, look at it a different way. What businessman in his right mind would have another corporate entity above his business that costs him money to put there, that has a disparate range of interests, not interested in that business? You know, if you're running a business in the UK, why would you ever want a holding company there, a holding group there, that you pay money into and that makes decisions not in your best interest?
Because you at this point in time have a voice. I'm just arguing the counterfactual here. You at this point have a voice in how some of that money is spent. There is an argument that says that we would have to contribute still maybe significant amounts of money, and we would have to adhere to some of the rules that are generated to take part in the single market, but we would have no voice. So at least at this point in time, there is an argument that says we actually can say how some of that money is spent and maybe have a determining factor in how some of the rules are set. Post-Brexit, maybe we wouldn't.
I can't see any way that we're going, that Britain is going to be contributing significant amounts of money to a Europe when we're outside of Europe. You know, what we should have always done, and I've always been anti the European integration. I was very pro the common market. You know, having a set of trading policies that enable you to trade easily with your allies and with your partners is a really very, very sensible thing to do. And we need to do that throughout the world, not just Europe. We need to have good trading relationships with everybody. I was very, very pro the common market. But why then integrate it into what I believe was one of the greatest follies ever conceived by politicians? And I think it was actually done out of egotism, and somebody wanted to go down in the history books as having created something that was huge and, you know, history-changing.
Let's talk about some facts and try and put some numbers on this. Let me take you to a car park in Mayfair, which I'm quite fond of. So you're going to knock it down and you're going to build some flats. You're going to call it Audley Square. And I'd be curious to know whether or not you think...
haven't yet said that it will be the world's most prestigious apartment block.
OK, fine. It's a very nice car park.
It'll be a very nice apartment block.
Well, do you think square footage in that apartment block will be higher or lower post-Brexit?
I can't answer that specifically. What I would say is that, first of all, I'll never let my own self-interest stand in the way of what I believe is best for the country.
Yep.
You know,
Okay.
and that's a genuine statement. Yeah. I'm giving all of my money away when I die, or most of it, to charities. I don't need the money, and I won't let money compromise my beliefs.
Right.
So whether the car park is worth more or less after a Brexit, I can't judge. What I would say is London is the economic centre of the world. It's the most desirable city in the world. And it's the most desirable city because of all the principles that were built out of a sovereign Britain, thinking. And to have all the thinking from Europe rolling in the form of welfare thinking, employment laws. Yeah. And, of course, let's quote the balmy issues of bananas when they had to be 5 inches long and an inch diameter. You know, all of that rubbish coming into the country, we don't want. What we want is a very well-run country. We want a centre of excellence in every way, in our trading environment, in our law and order, and in our education. And we need to keep London right at the top of that. Will it be at the top at the end after Brexit? Yes, I believe it will, because London is a magnificent city and will always be so. And I don't believe exiting Europe will have any negative content at all. It may have a positive, because a lot of businesses that come into Britain don't want the bureaucracy of the European laws that roll in. They don't want that bureaucracy. You know, the bureaucracy that's rolled in from all businesses as a result of Europe is phenomenal. It's costing businesses fortunes. Why not get rid of red tape, get rid of bureaucracy, get rid of multi-layered management, get rid of cost, get rid of all this negative content, and make Britain truly great on its own. I mean, we are the 5th most successful country in the world economically at the moment, and 2nd in Europe. Yep. Some people could argue that was down to Europe. I don't believe that at all. You know, as I've already said, the common market are fully supported, but not where we are now in the United States of Europe.
Been great to speak to you this morning. Interesting to hear your views. We'll see what happens with the car park. Thank you very much indeed, John Caldwell.